Anybody who watches the channel knows that I love marketing. So these tips are not necessarily going to be like post reels or do any kind of like gimmicky things that are true and relevant, but you see that on a lot of other channels. Instead, these are going to be really, really in-depth, and they're going to deal with a lot of the mindset behind marketing, behind social media growth, in order to help you guys get your messages out to your audiences. And beyond just getting your messages out to the audiences, build communities that really, really like you and want to engage with you, and you can promote any kind of product. And since this is a ball python channel, we're going to be talking a lot about ball pythons and how it relates to them and how it relates to the hobby. So we hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please like, comment, subscribe, and let's get to it. First tip that we want to talk about when it comes to growing your social media presence is we need to understand the motivation why you want to grow. A lot of times I see people who really only want to grow their social media presence for kind of like clout. They want to have 10,000 Instagram followers or 20,000 or 1,000 YouTube subscribers so they can get monetized or anything like that. And it's not really about anything about their business why they want more followers. They just want more followers because they think it's cool. So if all you want is followers because you think that it's cool, it is very, very likely that what will end up happening is you will get frustrated and discouraged as you are trying to grow, because it's a hard work, it's a grind, especially at first. And you will resort to unethical means of growth, and this is buying followers or follow for follow or things like this. And the reason why these are so bad is it wrecks your chances to actually get your message, whatever it is that you want to say, whether it is selling a ball python and you have a ball python for sale and you post about it and then nobody responds to you. Nobody sees your post because you had got your audience from bots, and they're not real people, and bots aren't gonna buy a snake from you. So there's lots of different like warnings that you don't want to do when you're growing your account, but none of this video is going to touch on those. If you guys are interested, we can definitely make a video about that. Leave a comment below if you want us to make a video on like things you shouldn't do if you like want to grow your Instagram account or YouTube account or anything like that, TikTok. Now, jumping back to the actual point of the video, this topic right here is your motivation. So the motivation behind growing a successful social media account is two parts. One is almost always you have a message that you want to give to potential audiences out in the world. And this message, if it's ball python, if you're a breeder or something like that, often is that ball pythons are amazing animals, that they should be way more widely adopted as pets, or that you are trying to get a specific morph or project out in front of other breeders because you want to be able to sell your babies to those other breeders. So on that kind of realm, that's like the selfish part of it. But when it comes to social media, if people perceive your content or that your motivation behind posting on social media is purely selfish, they are not going to engage with you, they're not going to follow you, they aren't going to pay attention to your message, because all it's going to seem like is that you are trying to take their money that they've earned from their jobs away from them, selfishly, with no actual real gain to them. And yes, you can say that like, well, I'm selling them a valuable snake that's going to help them out with their projects, but your social media itself isn't providing value to them, and that's the key. So when it comes to social media, not only do you have a message that you want to give out, but the second part of your motivation should be about providing unconditional value to your audiences. And that's the key, unconditional value. If anybody were to see your social media posts and find it educational or entertaining or something like that, you are providing unconditional value. They don't have to pay for it. All they have to do is just engage with you, or they just have to read with it. They don't even have to like the post. They don't have to comment on it. But that's the thing, is if you have a message that you want to give, we understand that it will probably have some kind of selfish bent to it. But you can position all of your social media content in some way as providing unconditional value. That is the first secret that you need in order to grow your account. I know unconditional value is pretty vague. We are going to talk about it in way more depth in the secrets like later on. I think it's our seventh one. Our seventh one, we are going to dive in way more depth, like what it means to provide unconditional value. And there are 5 different ways that you can do it, but we'll get to that one later. Right now, we're gonna jump on to number 2 of our secrets to social media growth. And this is going to be understanding that there are different audiences who view your content, and we're going to kind of lump them into 3 broad categories. The first one is your dedicated audience. Your dedicated audience are the people who want to engage with you the most. They see your content. It doesn't matter if it's the worst picture ever and it's like got a smudge on it from your like thumb on your camera's phone or your phone's camera, or that it is absolutely amazing, beautifully lit picture that looks like it was taken in a studio. These people will engage with your content no matter what. And often, especially at first, these are people who are close family members or friends or really close friends within the hobby. And they are always going to engage with you, not necessarily because your content is good, but because they like you and they have a relationship with you. And the goal of all of the other audiences is to move people into this sphere right here. You want to increase your dedicated audience more than anything. But we're going to step a little bit further away from your dedicated audience, and we are going to go to your organic audience. Your organic audience is almost completely made up of your followers, but it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly your followers. It could be like somebody shares one of your posts. You didn't pay them to do it or anything like that, but now their audience is seeing your content organically, and that's still your organic content or your organic audience, but for the most part, your organic audience are your followers. And not everybody that you follow on social media, not everybody that I follow on social media, I engage with. I can see their posts and it might be a good post, but I just happen to be scrolling because I'm not actively thinking about commenting and starting up a conversation with them. So your organic audience is how you build like a really, really healthy platform, a social media account, and this is what often people want to grow. But if you are not converting people from your organic audience into your dedicated audience, you are not going to be able to deliver your message effectively because your organic audience will just kind of lose you in the sea of all of the other people that they follow. So if you're trying to sell a ball python and you have a large organic audience but almost no dedicated audience, you probably aren't going to be able to sell any ball pythons on social media. And even though you might have 10, 15, 20,000 followers, this is the reason why, is because you might have a decently sized organic audience, but no or very, very small dedicated audience. Now, moving a little bit further out from our organic audience, we are going to go to your inorganic audience. And these are going to be people who do not follow you, probably have never really heard of you before, and they are seeing your post because a social media platform's algorithm is recommending it to them. And in order to reach these people, there's only really 2 ways you can do it. One, pay for it. Make a paid advertisement using whether it's an ad or a post or something like that, and then the social media platform will push your content out to this inorganic audience, and you can specify who it is. Or the second one, and this is how like real social media growth comes, is being able to consistently ride the algorithms to get your organic content that you post to be recommended to an inorganic audience, so that way once they see it and they like your content, they become part of your organic audience, and then hopefully you engage with them enough that eventually they become part of your dedicated audience. And no matter what you post, they're always commenting on it, they're always liking it, they're always sharing it. So I talked a little tiny bit just now about engagement, and engagement kind of ties into our 3rd secret of growing your social media account. And this is, you need to be able to develop high quality content. And high quality content does not necessarily mean that it is beautifully lit, shot in a studio, and it's the like most beautiful actress or model or person on the screen ever. Instead, high quality content, when you are looking at a social media platform, is content that makes people stay on their platform longer. And the reason why people stay on platforms longer is because it is dealing with one of those pieces of value I talked about earlier. And again, we're gonna get to it, it's number 7, just wait. If you guys don't wanna wait, skip to the end of the video and you can see all of the 5 different pieces of the 5 different ways that people can make their content valuable to audiences. So, high quality content gets people to stay on social media platforms longer, and this is done through engagement. So engagement is when somebody likes your post, they comment on your post, they share your post, they watch a video, things like this. It is any interaction that somebody has with your content. And these actions that people take and the people who take these actions are signals to the social media platforms in order to tell if your content is high quality or not. It does not matter if you take the most beautiful picture in the entire world. It could be the Mona Lisa, and you post it on your social media platform, and if nobody likes it, nobody comments on it, nobody shares it, there was no way for the social media platform to know that that content was high quality. And if it's not high quality and it's not going to keep people on their platform longer, they are going to just let it sit in your account and not really push it out to anybody, including they will barely push it out to your organic audience. Pretty much the only people who will see it are people who are in your dedicated audience. So we are going to talk about it in a lot of depth, but how can you create high quality content? Sorry about that, the camera died, so hopefully we are good to go now. I went ahead and put Aries back because it's a little bit easier to do the video without holding a snake while I'm talking about all this stuff. Growing your social media presence, secret number 4, I think is what we were on, and this is dealing with how do you get people to engage with your content. And we've already talked about make high quality content and make content that provides unconditional value. And we are going to get into the value in more depth on number 7. But right now, before we even get to your content, we should talk about engagement overall. And engagement is not a one-way street. It isn't having a random audience member see your post and come to your post without you reaching out to them in any way. Liking it, commenting on it, sharing it, all of these different things. Like, that is engagement, but you have to understand that, especially in the beginning, you are going to need to go out and engage with other people. And if you go out and you find an account that is related to your niche, so let's say it's ball pythons, you find another ball python breeder that is about the same level as you, and you like a bunch of their posts, you comment on a bunch of their posts, you send them a direct message, and you start up a genuine conversation. All of this engagement that you are giving them will most likely be reciprocated. They are going to come to your profile, they're going to check out your pictures, your reels, all of these different things, and they're going to like and comment and all of this stuff on your stuff. And if you do this with enough people early on, it is going to give you enough traction where you can actually start building up that dedicated audience. Because it's one of the hardest things to do is when you start your social media platform, you're starting at zero. So the only real way you are going to grow it, especially in the early stage, is to make those personal connections, because realistically, most social media platforms are not going to be recommending content that comes from an account with 0 followers to millions of people. It does happen, and this is like random viral success, but you can't bank on this. In fact, I personally believe that you get a stronger, better social media presence later on if you put in the work to grind your way up versus getting lucky and getting something to go viral, because when you get something to go viral, you might get a few, like a sliver of that viral growth. Let's say you get 1 million people to watch a reel, you might get 5,000 of them to follow you, but they're not going to be really, really invested in you because they only saw one piece of your content and that's why they followed. You're able to build up your dedicated audience by engaging with people. So you have to engage with others in order to build up your dedicated audience. So before you even get into your own content, go out and engage with other people consistently in meaningful ways, and that is going to prime your account for the engagement that you need later on. Secret number 5 on this is understanding why engagement is so important. So we know that likes and comments and shares and all that stuff is really good, but why is this important? And there's a business side of this. And the first one is if you see that people are consistently engaging with your content, specifically it's the same people over and over and over again, it's very, very likely that they are paying attention to whatever message that you are putting out. So if you are trying to make people aware of your brand, if you just want people to recognize the fact that you are Leviathan Snakes, like in our case, and you see the same people liking your posts, commenting on your posts, it's very, very likely that they will remember your brand if it ever comes time for you to sell something, and that they will trust you. Or that there's a very high likelihood that they will be able to trust you because they're already aware of you. Doesn't mean that they will trust you, but there's a better chance that it will happen. In addition to that, the engagement is what's telling the social media platforms that your content is valuable and high quality. And if it's valuable and high quality and people are engaging with it, what they're going to do is that this is how algorithms for social media work when they're pushing content out to new audiences. is that first, they start with your dedicated audience. You make a post and they push it out to the people who engage with your stuff the most. And if those people like your post and comment on your post and share your post, they'd be like, okay, their dedicated audience really likes this, let's push this out to a wider group of their organic audience that don't really engage with them that much. And if those people engage with the content and they like it and comment on it and they share it and stuff like this, then they're gonna be like, okay, let's push it out to more of their organic audience and let's start pushing it out to people who've never heard about them before. And if the people who've never heard about them before start liking your post, they comment, share, all of that stuff. Now they're gonna be like, oh, people who've never heard of this account before are seeing their content and they have no relationship tied to them and they are engaging with it. This is actually probably pretty good content. Let's push this out to a wider audience until it kind of gets to the point where there's not really any more audience members who seem to like engage with it. And it doesn't mean that nobody would engage with it, period, but it's like they're building your inorganic audience based off of similarities to people within your organic audience or with the hashtags that you're using, things like that. That's telling, for example, Instagram, who are the people who would most like this content? And once they kind of run out of those people, that's when you kind of lose your organic reach. So that's why you want people to engage with it, is because those are the signals that tell the social media platforms that, hey, you should push my stuff out to more people. And if you can get the social media platforms to push your stuff out to more people, you're going to have a way easier time building up your audience. I was a little bit of a liar. I was just checking my notes between the last take and this one and all of that stuff. And the 5 ways that you can provide unconditional value to an audience. It's not number 7 in my notes, it's actually number 6. So there's a bonus one after this. I guess not bonus, it's still 7, but I just did a bad job of counting earlier. So we're gonna talk about the ways that you can provide unconditional value to an audience, because this is what's going to help make your high quality content, which will help drive your growth for your platform. And we're gonna give an overview, then we're gonna talk about each one in more depth. So the 5 different ways that you can do this is provide entertainment to your audience, provide education to your audience, provide inspiration to your audience, provide connection to your audience, and provide status to your audience. So we're gonna dive into each of them. So entertainment. People are pretty aware that if something keeps your interest and it's entertaining, that it is going to probably get more comments, it's probably going to get more likes, it's probably going to get more shares. And this could be funny, it could be conflict-based. You can see this like funny posts all the time, we don't really have to explain them. But conflict-based, so oftentimes you'll see like internet drama that's going on and people go to the comments to get the popcorn. This is a form of entertainment. And I personally don't like it that much. I think that accounts that primarily try to provide value through conflict end up getting unintended consequences where people kind of view them as like drama kings, drama queens, things like that. And they don't really want to listen to them. They just kind of want to watch the drama unfold, but they don't really care what the platform has to say. So they often don't pay attention to the platform's messages, even if they get a lot of engagement. But when it comes to like other entertaining aspects, there's some like principles that you can apply to your content to try to make it more entertaining. And one thing is exceptionality. So exceptionality is when you can stand out from the crowd. There is, I don't remember who it was. My friend Philip was talking about it recently, but there's like this marketing kind of saying that comes from, I want to say Seth Godin, but I could be wrong on that. And it's talking about that if you've never seen a cow farm before, and you're driving down the road and you look out the window and you see cows, that's going to be really exciting because it's different. It's something you've never seen before in person. And if you drive down the road some more and you see another cow farm, you'll probably still be pretty excited about it and like looking out the window, pointing, maybe even taking pictures. But after you've seen 100 or 1,000, they just kind of blend into the landscape and you don't really notice them anymore. But if you are driving down the road and you've seen 10,000 cows in your entire life and it's nothing new, but you're driving down the road and you see a purple cow, that purple cow is going to catch your interest because it's different. And that's the thing, is when it comes to exceptionality, you want to be different than the rest of your niche. So if you notice that your niche doesn't have very good production quality, most of the people who are posting it are taking pictures with their phone, they're not paying attention to lighting, they aren't making it look professional. Just simply having better production quality will make you like the purple cow, and you will stand out and catch attention, and it will make your content seem exceptional and entertaining. So they'll be more likely to engage with it. In addition to that, you can also go the unexpected route. So unexpected is often what the humor styles do, but you can do it in ways that aren't humorous. You can kind of see this when it comes to like horror types of social media. And this is where you are convincing the audience that there is a pattern that they can follow. So it could be something like setting up a joke where you are being put into a situation, and then when the punchline comes, it's an unexpected result that somehow ties into everything. And once you get it, you're like, oh, I understand now. So if you're able to create patterns within your social media content, but then at the end of the post, maybe the end of the caption or the end of the video, you're able to quickly subvert it in ways that was exciting and unexpected, you're probably going to get a lot of engagement. One way that I can say that you can do this pretty easily when it comes to snakes is that you could make a reel of an adult snake. Let's say we did one recently where it was of our blue-eyed leucistic male, breeder male. He's really big, he's beautiful, and as I'm showing him off in the camera, I very quickly just kind of put my hand up and do a quick like fade to black transition just by holding my hand in front of the lens, and then I cut the scene where my hand starts in front of the camera lens, and I pull it away, and I have the exact same looking snake, but it's one of his babies. It was from this year. And that video, what it does is it makes it look like you're seeing this really, really high production quality of this beautiful blue-eyed leucistic, and then there's a very, very quick change where it doesn't give people enough time to go away, and then it's unexpectedly a tiny version of the snake. So, and it did really, really well. I'm pretty sure it's like over 20,000 views. I'd have to go look right now, but it did really well. And there's lots of different things that you can see like this on social media. So the two ways that I think you can really, really stand out is by making your content exceptional, just making it stand out in some way, making it unexpected. These are ways that you can somehow make your content entertaining to audiences. The next one that we want to talk about is educational content. And obviously this is an educational content. I'm a really, really big fan of this because I think that if you are able to teach somebody something, even if it's something that might seem basic to you, it always provides value to them and it builds up a really, really healthy community. And I love marketing, so that's why I talk so much about marketing and just all over the place. I really, really like providing educational value to audiences. So when we're talking about educational content, educational value, we have to understand that there's realistically about 3 different levels given any specific niche that you can do this. There's basic educational content, and basic educational content is going to appeal to people who are just getting into that niche or hobby. It's probably going to have the widest possible application to people, but the problem with it is that it's often the most done, like it's the most saturated part of the educational value. And we're talking about ball pythons. If you go onto YouTube and you type in ball python care guide, you are going to get thousands, if not tens of thousands of videos on ball python care guide. And a lot of them are not going to be very good, not saying that they are not giving good information, but that they're not very high production quality. The people who are talking in them kind of ramble a little bit, like me, and it makes it hard to like really get the information that you want out of it. And what also happens with the basic education kind of level is that people tend to gravitate towards the content that already has the most views or the most like searches, the #1 listing on Google or anything like that. So it makes it really, really hard to break into this realm. But if you are able to make really good basic educational content related to your niche and it gains traction, you are going to get a huge explosion in your followers because they're going to be new to the hobby or whatever your niche is. And as they get your basic educational content and it provides value to them, they are probably going to follow you right away. And because they're not following very many people in the hobby at that point in time, they're probably going to see a lot of your content, and it's going to be very, very easy to move them from inorganic audience to organic audience all the way up to dedicated audience. And you can see this explosion all the time, specifically with what I call pet tubers. So in the ball python hobby, we kind of noticed that there is differences in like what people are interested in when it comes to reptiles, and the pet side of the hobby is the biggest audience, period. So if you're making basic educational content geared towards pet owners, like how do you care for a ball python? What do you do if you have stuck shed? What do you do if your ball python doesn't eat? Things like this, you are going to find a lot of people who will find it interesting, but you're also going to be competing with a lot of other people who are making the same kind of content. My rule of thumb is if you can Google the question and find a bunch of results, it's probably going to be basic level when it comes to the educational value, but that's still incredibly valuable to grow your account. The second type of educational value is the intermediate level. An intermediate level is going to be things that if you Google, you aren't going to easily be able to find a bunch of content that relates to this. So an example of this is that if you were trying to find how long does it take a ball python to lay once they have their pre-lay shed, you're going to find so many different contents that will say roughly 30 days. But if you are trying to find out what should I do if my ball python is at day 45 pre-lay and it doesn't look like that they are going to be laying, how do I know if they're really gravid? All of this stuff. This is more of the intermediate level because it's so specific. There isn't going to be a lot of videos that are around this or content that's around this. So intermediate is going to be good because it can apply to people who are beyond the basic level, but there's just a smaller audience. And it's very likely if you're making intermediate content, intermediate level content, it's the first time a lot of the time, it's less competition and it's the first time that the audiences have maybe really seen it like this. Or seen that content, seen somebody talk about it, so it's going to make you stand out. It's going to, just the fact that nobody else is talking about it is going to make you seem unique. And you don't necessarily need to be an expert on whatever it is, just simply talking about something that isn't discussed often is going to draw an audience to you. Now, the thing on this is if all of your content is kind of high level and obscure, you are probably going to miss out on the possible audiences who aren't ready for it. They're going to see your video title and they're going to be like, well, that's not for me. I don't really care about that. I don't need to know the specific pieces of knowledge about breeding because I just got a ball python as a pet and I just want to keep it as a pet. So I think that it's good to have a mix between basic and intermediate. The last of the 3 levels of educational content is like advanced content. And there's a couple challenges when it comes to advanced content, but if you do it well, it will probably be the content that most people will talk to you about in person or send you messages about. So the first challenge of advanced content is that you have to establish yourself as a credible source of information for whatever the topic is that you want to cover. So like myself, the only topic that I feel confident that I can talk about at an advanced level is really marketing. And that's because I have about a decade's worth of work experience in the marketing industry. I have my undergrad and master's in fields or majors that were related to the marketing field. And overall, I really like the marketing industry or marketing field. So I do a bunch of individual research just in it. I read a bunch of marketing books. I'm watching all the different marketing videos. All of this stuff together is what I hope makes me a credible source of information about marketing. So if you're not a credible source about whatever it is that you're trying to present as like your expert opinion on it, what will end up happening is people won't believe you. They'll be like, why should I listen to you when you've never done this before? You don't have anything that shows that I should trust you about it. So when you're making expert level content, I think that it's really important to establish your credibility up front so that way people aren't being like, who is this guy? He doesn't know what he's talking about. Why should I listen to him? So that's one challenge. The second challenge to expert advanced level content is that the audience who are going to be able to find it valuable is going to be way smaller than both your basic and intermediate educational content. So what that means is that if I'm trying to give this video, honestly, this video is probably advanced marketing knowledge or marketing educational content. If there's somebody who is not comfortable using a phone to take a picture or a camera to take a picture, they are not sure how to make a logo, or not even make a logo, but they don't even have a logo, that if you go to their Facebook account or their Instagram account or TikTok or anything like that, and like some of the pictures are of snakes and then other ones are like their dinner, and then other ones are like them at a family gathering, and it just kind of looks like a mishmash. Probably a lot of the concepts in here might be like tangentially beneficial to them, but that type of person probably isn't going to be able to get the full value out of a video like this or any other type of like expert level video, advanced level video. But it doesn't have to, the expert knowledge that you're trying to share doesn't have to be marketing. It can be literally anything as long as it relates to your niche. So let's say that you were an electrician and you wanted to make an expert level advanced like video talking about here's how you can wire up additional outlets and not overload your circuit breaker when you're building out a shop like this or something like that. Here's how you can install a mini split. These are things that are not directly related to the ball python hobby, and because they're not directly related, but they are going to be beneficial and helpful to people whenever they get to the point of building their own shop, it's going to be viewed as expert level content. And like, yes, they could always look up content that is in the, let's say, HVAC area and find content that would fit. But because it's within their niche and it's not knowledge that is generally known within the ball python hobby or reptile hobby or any hobby like that, that's what's going to make it seem like it is advanced expert level knowledge, because it's not stuff that people normally talk about within that niche. The third way, because we did entertaining, we did education, third way that you can provide value to your audience is to inspire them. And this is really, really popular, especially within like fitness area, is that inspirational posts, things that motivate people and want them to get up and take action, do really well, especially if you are able to actually motivate people. That provides so much value. Giving people a direction and plan is so valuable to so many different people that it's going to get people to like your stuff. It's going to get people to comment on it. It's going to get them to share it with their friends. Now, when you are trying to make something that's inspirational, there are various different levels on this. The first one that we're going to talk about is the platitude type of inspiration. So platitudes are, just in case somebody isn't aware, it is when somebody says something that sounds like it makes sense, but there's no real meat to it. Like when you really dig in, it doesn't help you in any way. And this is like, you gotta put in the work. Another one specifically for the ball python hobby is like quality ball pythons, or when it's just in general like rise and grind. So the reason why these are platitudes is that they seem kind of motivational. It kind of tells you like, yeah, I put quality first. I'm willing to put in the hard work in order to be successful. But when you really dive into it, putting in the hard work to be successful doesn't tell you what kind of work you should do. What steps should you take? When should you do it? Like, and the fact that these don't actually help is, in my opinion, what happens with a lot of people who try to do inspirational content is that they only stay at this level. They don't actually help their audiences. They don't actually provide value. They just repeat words like this, and then when nobody shares their meme where it says rise and grind, they think that the Instagram algorithm hates them and it shadow banned them or something like that, and it's just silly because really their content just wasn't high quality. So instead of trying to go with platitudes, the way that I would say is if you can tell a story, and this gets hard because you have to have like achieved success in some way, and you're able to tell the story of how you or somebody came from the beginner level where pretty much everybody else starts and rose to the point of success, that is going to be inspiring to a lot of people. It's those personal narratives, and they don't necessarily have to be yours. You could interview people for them, but it's the taking the journey from basic or beginner all the way up to the expert advanced, that can inspire people. But I actually think that there's the third way that you can do it is if you are able to show that you have personal success or you're interviewing somebody with personal success, giving clear, actionable steps and then driving home like this is how you do the work. This is how you become successful, because what this does is it gives people a clear roadmap in their next couple of weeks on what they should do in order to have a better chance at success. And when they have a clear idea of what they should do, it's way easier to motivate people and inspire people in order to help provide value to them. And if you help provide value, that's the whole thing, you are going to get them to engage with you. You are going to make high quality content that gets shared throughout social media, and you will end up growing your audience. All right. Fourth one is connection, and this is probably, in my opinion, the one that matters the most. Like, if you are able to make really, really strong connections with your audiences or through your posts, this is how you build up that dedicated audience that makes people love you. So, connection is that often, not everybody's like this, it is really hard to make friends as an adult or even as a teenager or a kid. And if you are able to watch content or consume content where you can relate to the person who's in the video and they like the same things as you and that their personality just really, really jives, what it does is it makes you feel like that they are your friends. You can forge that connection with them. And if you're able to forge that connection with them, it's going to make them really, really dedicated to you. And it's going to provide a value to them because everybody wants more friends. I know that there's people who are like, I hate people, don't talk to me, but they mean that towards strangers. Like, when you hate people, it doesn't mean that you hate everyone in the entire world. Often the people who say that they hate people are some of the most loyal people to their friends and family. And that's what you need to capture, is that when you are trying to make your content, you want to find ways to connect with your audience to show that maybe you don't actually know each other yet, but realistically you have so many different things in common with them that you could be a friend to them. So this connection value, you can do this by showcasing interests that are unrelated to the niche. So like us, we talk about this a lot, we're super nerdy. I love science fiction and fantasy, we play D&D, and somebody who also likes these things, it's a commonality that we can have between us and help build up that connection between each other. Now, beyond the like connection between a content creator and their audience, I also think that the most successful social media accounts provide a connection not only between the content creator and their audience, but between the audience and other audience members. So this would be like a situation where somebody might message us and they might be like, hey, do you have any pieds available? I really, really like the pied project. And in this situation, honestly, we don't work pied very much. Anybody who's in the ball python hobby knows that it's super, super popular, and we do have some pieds, but that's just not a project that we do a lot with. So most likely what I would do in this situation is like, no, but do you know Alexis from So Surreal Serpents? She is amazing. She just hatched out this absolutely gorgeous pied clutch. You should check her out. Here, I will send you her profile or something like that. And then what this ends up doing is you are building out your network. You're building out your people who have found value in you, because even though we couldn't help them out, they might have been able to find the exact animal they were looking for, and that helped them out, and it helped out Alexis because it helped get her a sale in this situation. So when you are trying to build connection and provide connection value to your audience, you definitely want to find ways where you can personally connect with them, but also find ways that you can connect them with other people in your network to help everyone out all together. And it will provide so much value and make people really, really want to engage with your content. The last part of the educational value piece is going to deal with status. So this is, in my opinion, the weakest of all of them when it comes to smaller accounts, but if you can get it, it can do some really, really cool things for you. So when it comes to status, the idea behind this is that by following you, engaging with you, or the account, in this case, the creator engaging back with you, somehow implies to everybody else in the hobby that the person who gets that engagement has a higher status. And you can see this a lot when it comes to the reptile hobby. I think that the best example of this is Canova. People love Justin Kubolka and his team and everything that they have done with Canova. So much so that if Justin Kubolka comments on somebody's picture and it's a smaller account, it's very, very likely that that person, just because Canova commented on their picture, they're going to screenshot it, they're going to tag Justin Kubolka, or they're going to tag Canova in it. They're going to like be so thankful, and it's that interaction provided so much value to the audience. And this is why I think that big accounts should engage with smaller accounts all the time too, that it's providing a status value to that audience member, and it's going to make that audience member way more loyal to that bigger brand. So, like I said, it's harder to do when you are small, but at a certain point, it becomes really, really critical in order to provide value to the audiences. So I know that was really long. I technically, if you're counting in it, that was 5. We already did 6, so maybe we're up to 11. But regardless, the video is titled 7 Secrets. So we gotta hit number 7, which we'll do 7 right now, which is action steps. We are going to talk about things that you can do right now, and things you can do tomorrow, the next day, all of that stuff in order to grow your social media account and develop out your dedicated audience, your organic audience, and reach a wider inorganic audience. So that way you can grow your presence, get your message out to people, and build stronger communities. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to get a metric that we can track. So the only real metric that we can do early on is write down how many followers you are at right now. If you're doing this on Instagram, if you're doing it on TikTok, if you're doing it on YouTube, doesn't matter which one, just pick one, write down how many followers you're at. This is your organic audience. So we could probably do some calculations to figure out what your dedicated audience is, and you can look into your metrics to figure out what your inorganic audience is. But right now, this one's gonna be simple, it's gonna be easy. Just write down your followers, and this is your organic audience, and we're going to focus on building up your organic audience, which if you build up your organic audience, you're gonna be building up your inorganic. And if you're engaging with your organic audience, you're gonna be building up your dedicated audience. So, the next one is that we want to make posts. I want you to make 3 posts. You can post them all in one day. You can wait to space them out, one day today, one tomorrow, or one today, one tomorrow, one the next day. It doesn't really matter, but make 3 posts that are all centered on one of those values that we talked about. It could be entertainment, it could be educational, it could be connection. It doesn't really matter. Just pick one of the 5, and you could do multiple if you can try to layer in multiple into one post. But pick a post that you're like, this is an entertainment post. This is going to be a way that I can show off how exceptional my brand is. This is going to be an educational post, and it's going to be a basic level education, and it's going to talk about this basic thing in the hobby that other people might want to know. And we're going to do one that is community based, and I'm going to shout out somebody else in my community who I really like, and I want to forge a deeper connection with them, and I want other people to pay attention to them because they're doing such good work. All right, so you're gonna make 3 posts that are centered on one of the values that, or one of the things that provide value to audiences. We want to also to make it as best as you can. You don't wanna, if you have an iPhone and that's it, wipe off the screen, or not the screen, wipe off the lens before you take the picture, make sure it's in good lighting. You want it to look as good as possible, but just make sure that you have one of those values as the intent behind the post. That way you're not just posting just to post. All right. Next, we want to engage with other accounts. So we're not gonna wait for people to just comment on our stuff or share our stuff and then engage with them. Instead, we are gonna go out to other accounts and we're going to engage with them. So what I want you to do is I want you to type in a hashtag if this is on Instagram, or search for videos if you're on YouTube, or anything like this that is related to your niche, and then go to the most recent posts that were made that were related to whatever it is that you searched for. And I want you to click on the people who created those posts, watch some of their videos, read some of their captions, all of the stuff, like the posts, comment on them, build up genuine conversations, send them a DM. All right, and what this is going to do, I want you to do this to 10 people a day, all right? Which I know that sounds like a lot, but just think about it. Like if you're just opening it up, this might take you 2 to 10 minutes or so, depending on how long you're actually on your phone, and just comment on stuff. You're still looking at what you're always looking at when you're on your phone, but now just from people who you don't know. And this interaction, this engagement that you are making with them is opening up the two-way street where they can come back and engage with you. I want you to repeat this, making the post, the 1 high quality post a day or 3 or whatever it is, whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with, engaging with 10 different accounts that you don't know and that they don't know you. I want you to repeat it for 10 days. And then, or not 10 days, I want you to repeat it for 5 days. 10 days, if you like it, go for the 10 days. Do it for 5 days. And then at the end of the 5 days, write down what your followers are now and then compare them. And I bet you, I'm willing to bet that if you do it, if you actually do it, you make high quality content that is centered around a value that can provide some kind of benefit to the audience, and you're engaging with people every single day and opening up that two-way street, your organic audience will have grown in that 1 week. And if you've never done stuff like this, I wouldn't be surprised if it's grown more in that 1 week than it ever has at any other point in time. Because this is how you're able to build up solid, successful accounts. And the thing is, it takes a lot of work. And I know that it takes a lot of work. Engaging with multiple people all the time, keeping track of all the conversations, making sure you have high quality content, it's a lot. And it's one aspect. When people say that they are willing to put in the hard work, this is part of it. And I know that so many people can do it. It just kind of comes down to, do you know how? And I think that that's where a lot of people get stuck, is they don't actually know how to make high quality content. They don't actually know how to get people to engage with them. But I hope that this video helps. And if it did help, this is like the one thing that I ask. I guess multiple, because I said that earlier, please like, comment, subscribe. But this is what I ask, is if this video does help, at the end of the 5 days, share it with somebody. Share it with people and just be like, hey, I really, really like this. I tried it and this is the results that I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next week.